Hi guys, Ejid here with another Total War Shogun 2 commentary video. Today running a 2 vs 2 match-made battle with large funds on the Chikugo River map. My ally is swapdotavi on my left, and I of course am here with the bright pink army, Hello Kitty themed, appropriate for a Japanese game. And opposing us is Salous and Hungus, and they have their armies together, so I assume they play regularly together, and it's a little strange. So anyways, this map, definitely one of the more awkward maps tactically, and potentially frustrating because it has rivers dividing these islands here. And on our right, this middle island here is really thin and doesn't have a lot of cover, and it's pretty easy to defend because your starting zone is adjacent to it. Whereas this large island here in the middle, it has cliffs on this side here. This is impassable terrain. And then you have this huge river to run across if you want to get to it. And that takes a long time to cross. And to really skirmish is really hard too because the enemy has these trees here. He can hide guys in here that you can't shoot, and it provides really, really good cover. So once again, attacking anyone's deployment zone is going to be an issue. And so what we were hoping for is that they would come out of their starting zone to meet us, but they did not. So we chose to deploy here on this back island towards the middle so we could go either way we wanted. And when we saw they were going to camp here, we knew that our attacking distance was going to be shorter across this smaller river here from the middle island instead of this over here, which would have just been a mess. Even though we could have potentially maneuvered over to this island here and come at them from two angles, it really just had too many moving parts, and that was going to be dangerous. So, quickly to go over armies, I got 6 Katana Samurai, 2 Yari Samurai, 2 Bow Warrior Monks, 2 Bow Ashigaru, 1 Matchlock Warrior Monk, 2 Yari Cav, 1 Light Cav. Really standard army if you've seen my videos before. swapdotavi, something similar, 2 units of Katana Samurai, 2 Lone Sword Ashigaru, 2 Naginata Samurai, 2 Matchlock Monks, 5 Bow Ashigaru, and 2 Yari Cav. So a little bit more infantry, and he has more quantity of arrow units. However, I have the 2 bow monks with the range, which is going to be nice considering that our opponents have a lot of bows. And going over their army real quick, you can see that there's almost no place to hide on this small island. Our opponents have a ton of bow monks, and specifically Salous on the right here, he has 4 Katana Samurai, 5 Lone Sword Ashigaru, and this is his formation back here. Then he has 1 unit of Yari Samurai, 3 units of Yari Ashigaru, and 3 Bow Warrior Monks. So he has an archer advantage over me if we were to go one-on-one. Not by points, but I think 3 units of Bow Monks versus 3 units, or 2 Bow and 2 Bow Ashigaru, well, it's actually pretty even, but still. He does have the range advantage, for sure. Then, swapdotavi's opponent, Hungus, has 6 units of Katana Samurai. They are hidden in the trees here. 2 units of Yari Samurai, 2 units of Yari Ashigaru, 1 Naginata Warrior Monk, which he's really going to like for the morale debuff, 2 units of Bow Warrior Monks, 2 Matchlock Warrior Monk units, and 1 Katana Hero unit. Interestingly, these guys chose not to use cavalry. If we had met them on a field battle, it would have been a whole different story, and we would have been able to use our cav advantage a lot better against their heavy investment into archers. But we also knew what map this was ahead of time, and so we did choose to beef up our archer selection, which I think really saved us on this map. And if they had known the map too, maybe they would have chosen something different. Anyways, the initial archer skirmish here was pretty much a trade for both sides. I managed to chase away 1 unit of his Bow Warrior Monks. He managed to chase off 1 unit of my Bow Warrior Monks. Yes. And then we were pretty much just trading shots back and forth. Over here, even less progress being made between Swap and Hungus because he and him were both shooting into trees. So not a lot of getting done there. Swap tried to charge around his cav and potentially hit these archers over here, or just maybe get behind and kill a general. However, Hungus played it pretty smart and had units of Yari Ashigaru in the trees. And they're going to go back there, and since Swap was busy microwaving his archers, he also didn't really notice that he ran into those. So that was kind of an issue. So we're continuing to trade arrow fire here. It's not really particularly exciting at this point. However, I did get him to withdraw. And any time that we can push them away was going to be important for us. An important thing I did here, I noticed he was bringing up some matchlock warrior monks, which if he had been able to shoot these bow Ashigaru here, good chance he could have caused them to break, and that would not have been good. So you really have to keep an eye out for matchlocks, especially when you have any type of Ashigaru unit, as the morale damage there is really huge, and you just can't ignore that. I was initially planning to do the same thing, pull up my matchlocks into the trees over here, and hopefully do some morale damage, but no luck. So at this point, we were kind of pondering what we were going to do. We knew we had a slight archer advantage, but with those trees on our left, we had really no way to press the advantage, or at least press it safely without constantly getting run over ourselves. So we decided that we were going to try and maneuver to get these guys out of position and allow at least one of our armies to cross successfully. So while we are busy discussing that, this is kind of the standstill that's happening. Still trading archer fire over here in the trees. I did try and harass this unit of matchlock monks with some archers. That's going to come up in a bit. And I'm going to fast forward at this point until my army starts moving, because it's really boring. As you can see, neither side really knew what we were doing. So I did bring my guys out here further to the right, hoping to bring off Salous, and so that would have allowed Swap to go one-on-one during a river crossing. But we just saw them not moving and decided to try and harass them some more with bows. And that's pretty much what's going on here. The only thing I could get into range was this one unit of bow warrior monks. And all the stuff on the left of Hungus's was busy in the trees. So at this point, I'm going to slow back to normal time, and I fake like I'm going to cross the river here. I set up right on the edge. If I get into the river, I'm going to get slowed down, and that could really mean disaster if he were to pelt me with arrows. I would lose too many guys to be able to win against his mob of swords. So he starts to move over, and here Swap and I had decided to see which way they moved, and since we managed to pull Salous towards me, this is when he was going to try and charge his guys across. And this actually worked out really well for us, and the whole reason I decided to cast this video in the first place, because this kind of maneuver motion here, where we cause uncertainty and reactionary movements with our opponents, is huge. So when I saw Salous going back, I was just going to go back to initially make a joint crossing with Swap. Instead, when Salous started running back, I knew that this was going to be just enough time for me to be able to cross the river and contest this ridge here, which would have given him a good downhill charge bonus if he had been holding it, and would have made my fight a lot harder. But they decided instead to rush Swap, but luckily Swap did have a ton of guys, just straight up a lot of guys, and he chose to receive the charge while in the river, which did slow down the enemy units and I think might have reduced their charge bonus. In the meantime, I'll just show you where my formation's moving. It's right up behind this ridge here. I'm just going to charge up and hopefully hit his guys on the ridge. He's going to try and absorb my charge with Yari Ashigaru. Not necessarily a smart move, especially since he didn't put them in spear wall formation. Over here, you can see really big mess, really big combo guys. I'm sending one unit of Katana Samurai to flank into his back, and potentially a second unit of the Katana Samurai over there. I am totally lucky here and get the downhill charge off against Salous. Big mistake by him not charging downhill at me. He could have definitely done a lot more damage that way. I managed to catch flank here with one of the unit of the Katana Samurai. Over here, I'm sending in my 2 units of Yari Cav across the river. Now, they're going to charge in with this unit of Katana Samurai into the back of this combat back here. I had to pull off the unit of Katana Samurai here to cover the flank of my flank. And I also charge in the Yari Samurai to help blob up, sending my matchlock monks on the ridge over here. They're going to fire down into combat for morale damage. This unit of Katana Samurai wasn't able to micro at the time, but they will move over. I pull out my Yari Cav after we cause a big break of his lone source here, and I want them to be able to charge some more to do more damage. Ace Unity Katana Samurai, gonna charge into this mess over here. You can see that my opponent has used that Warcry morale debuff against me, which caused 2 units of my Katana Samurai to break over here. And he does rush a whole lot of stuff into this blob of infantry over here. 1 unit of Katana Samurai wavering. If I have units of Katana Samurai start to break, that's going to be really bad. So I do choose to commit 1 of my units of Yari Samurai up against this whole mess of swords, really just to fill in the line and prevent him from flanking me. I do manage to salvage the Matchlock Monks. They only take a couple of damage, and I'm going to put them back on the ridge over here like you can see. Setting up my Light Cav and Yari Cav for rear charges. Managed to successfully get all my Yari Cav behind his line, while over here, swap.avi is successfully engaging the enemy Katana Samurai line. Over here, Yari Cav crashing into the back of this combat here. Immediate morale damage. And this unit of Light Cav getting ready to charge as well. Enemies did particularly good choice of putting Stand and Fight on the general here. Really nice job. He did catch my Light Cavalry with the Yari Samurai, but I continuing microing back into this unit of archers back here, and archers and swords, and that was just an excellent time to break his morale there. You can see swap.avi taking pretty nasty losses. I'm actually not in too good of a shape either. I choose to put my general in Stand and Fight here because I see most of his ranged units are negated, and luckily I'm able to catch these guys here with the rest of my Katana blob, and the Matchlock Monks are going to be really happy to just keep firing. And I'm going to pause here because this is almost the end of the replay, and basically we were able to win that crossing there, which is ordinarily really hard to do just by pulling the units out of position. And so also really a smart move by swap.avi. He sat his units right here in the river, and where there is a downhill slope here, and this is probably enough to get the downhill charge bonus, he just chose to let himself get charged in the river, which, while not a good situation, was definitely much better than charging uphill and getting charged downhill at the same time. Over here, I was able to get the ridge and charge down onto his guys, which also really helped me. At the same time, we did effectively use our bows back here, just pelting the combat and good matchlock usage. So I actually do think this was pretty good play by Salous and Hungus. They did make some mistakes in not heavily contesting the river crossing or contesting the high ground over here, which did really help us to pull ahead. I think my kill to death ratio was almost 2-to-1. I know that Swap did have it harder. However, overall, good play by all, and I hope you guys can take this video with you next time you are fighting on a map like this and use maneuver to beat your opponents. Until next time, see you later, and Egypt means idiot.